This is going to be one of the biggest years of my life, but I'm here for it. I've prepared the best that I possibly can to put myself in the best position this year. Trust me when I say this. The time is now.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of The Time Is Now. Now, obviously by the title, this is for all my Muslim brothers and sisters out there, and a Ramadan Kareem to you. These are my tips. These are my best tips for you guys to make the most of Ramadan this year, and why you don't need to give up on your goals, and why maybe you can set things up optimally in a time that maybe is a little bit suboptimal now. Most studies into Ramadan suggest that not much changes with body composition. There's a few actually that I was reading up just before I was doing some research before this video, which is quite cool because, you know, people eat more calorie-dense foods through iftar. It's a little bit more of a celebration, so you have a little bit more deep-fried foods, and potentially calorie intake can go up a little bit, so maybe people gain weight, but they found within 2 to 3 weeks afterwards, people kind of come back down to equilibrium. So I think first and foremost, for people who are probably trying to set this day up to be bodybuilders, to be fitness focused, and to improve their fitness and well-being, here's some tips for you. Now, there's 2 ways you can do this. I'm going to run you through both. If you have the ability to stay awake all night and sleep in the day, this is going to be the program for you. Meal 1 is going to be sundown, iftar, when you break fast. You can then either choose to train after that or after your second meal. Your second meal would be at midnight, and then your third meal would be at 4 a.m. I wouldn't break it up into any more of those meals because you're just going to be up too late, and you're not ever going to get to sleep, which is not going to be a good thing. I would personally train after that first meal so that you can backload your food into recovery and focus on recovering for that meal. I would focus on breaking your fast. And now this goes for both sides of the story when we get to it. I would focus on breaking your fast with higher glycemic index carbohydrates, faster digestive, anything that digests fast, EAAs, highly brown-sugar dextrin, you know, any type of sugar, fruit, so you can have that energy available ready because you've been fasting all day, you've been, you know, parched from water all day. It makes sense for you to have those higher glycemic index carbohydrates first in the day, along with all the water, along with potentially some electrolytes as well, where you've been dehydrated, especially if you're in a hot country out there, Dubai, UAE, any Muslim countries out in the Middle East. It's hot there as well, so you're going to be perspiring, you're going to be losing electrolyte balance. So the first thing that you guys should focus on is having high glycemic food, potentially food that's going to digest really, really quickly, not the deep fried fat and that type of heavy meat and whatnot, and getting hydrated. Maybe have a banana for potassium, or you can add electrolytes to it if you want to. You're then going to look at training, or you're going to look at having your second meal. Now, as you go through these meals, you can definitely look to change from a higher glycemic index carbs to a lower carbohydrate index carbs, because we know that the lower GI carb, the slower digested, the more we can hold on to those. For obviously, if we sleep at 4 a.m., wake up, or whenever it's going to be, we want to hold on to that last meal as much as possible. And if we had fast digested carbs, odds are we burn through those pretty quickly. So you can really just work out where you want to train. So you've got meal 1, train, meal 2, train, meal 3, you can just pick where you train between those 2, and that sets you up. Now, if you are someone who is in the UK perhaps, and you don't have the ability, maybe you're working and you don't have the ability to sleep at night, this next bit of advice is going to be for you now. Personally, I'd recommend waking up early. Waking up at a time that you know you can eat. I think it's sunrise, so maybe 4:30. So if you can get up before that, have your big meal, hydrate really well. I would then try and get to the gym as quick as you could after that meal. Obviously, the job's not going to start until 8 a.m. Maybe 7, if you know, maybe 7. Who knows? But 7 to 9 a.m. You're not going to start your job. So if you're up at 4, you know you can have your big meal, big hydration, then go train, fine, and then obviously you go through your fast all day, and then again your meal 2 would be at 8 p.m. or 7:30 whenever the sun goes down. Your following meal would then be maybe 11 or 10 if you could do it, and maybe do it a little bit earlier. You could get away with having 1 meal, you can get away with having 2 meals. I would like to try and see you have 3, but 2 or 3 is going to be absolutely fine. Remember guys, it is calories in versus calories out. So if you eat the same amount of calories as you do normally, the same results are going to happen. So if you want to continue your deficit, keep continually eating in a calorie deficit. If you want to continue eating in a surplus and gaining weight, continue to do that. I would say that Ramadan is probably not a time to look at powerlifting, strongman, peaking for a bodybuilding competition. I don't think you're going to be at your training performance peak. You are going to be dehydrated at times. You are going to be hungry at times. You are not going to be performing as you would do normally, because sleep is going to be affected, which brings me on to one of my final points, and sleep. So many people overlook sleep for food and eating, which is normal, and I can completely understand it, but a lot of people will now stay up, you know, for example, people in England, they may now stay up later and later and later, but still have to get up at that time in the morning for work or for their obligations that they've got to do in the morning. So you have to take in consideration sleep. If you sleep worse, guess what happens? You gain more body fat, you lose more muscle, it's harder to gain muscle, you have more cravings, ghrelin and leptin, your food hunger hormones are regulated by sleep, you have less lymphatic draining from poorer sleep. So many like antioxidant protocols that your body goes through, along with a lot of good processes. Sleep is needed, sleep is essential. So you have to focus on it a little bit. Now, granted, I can appreciate it's not going to be as good as always, but we can always do our best. And I think just knowing that it has a big effect can do a lot for you, because you might put some effort into trying to savor it during Ramadan. So just to summarize things, if you're awake at night, you've got that meal plan that you can work out off from 1, 2, 3 and put your training where you want to. If you are you're awake at the daytime, same protocol, but trying to wake up earlier and trying to eat before you train and then go into your fast. Both scenarios looking at having higher glycemic index carbohydrates, faster digestible foods or fastest digestible foods available. Stay away from red meats, deep fried food the moment you break your fast. Focus on getting hydrated, get those electrolytes in. Don't forget to see your sleep, don't neglect your sleep. And it's a big celebration, you know. You can eat those foods, and you can, you know, have a great, banquet with your friends and family. But if you're really serious about your goals, just try and wait a meal and try and do it with everyone, you know. But I can completely understand if that's not possible. These are just some tips for you guys who do want to stay on track and do want to make the most of it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Ramadan Kareem to everyone, and we'll speak soon, guys. Peace.